All right, so it is early in the morning and I didn't sleep. Literally, I've been up for 24 hours, and mainly this is due to insomnia, which happens. Now, I'll get into kind of the reason why I was up because it's the same thing every time. But make sure you join our Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. We talk about a lot of different things. We've been adding a few people, and the conversations are very interesting. And of course, it's the best way for us to get in touch with you, talk back and forth, that type of thing, right? I was up because of insomnia. So I just have a hard time actually going to sleep. I was doing meditation and that worked perfectly. And then for some reason I stopped doing it, which doesn't make sense. I even got someone who now meditates, right? I don't know if she still does, but she started doing it. And yeah, I stopped doing it. I need to get back on it. But yeah, so I didn't actually sleep whatsoever. But I also got caught into watching something. I went on to YouTube because obviously when I can't sleep, I'm like, let me find something on YouTube to watch, because sometimes, that's just what I do. And there's been things on here that I found, and, even Noelle was like, yeah, I like it. Let's watch it. Let's do this. Let's do that. And so she was fast asleep, and I'm trying to find the exact title so that I don't mess it up, right? But I ended up somehow it popped up in my suggested box, and it was a channel called Soft White Underbelly, right? And so I started watching this documentary, and it was about this family. I don't even see it now, but it was a family of people who were considered to be inbreds, right? And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. That was the title that this person that runs this channel, that's the title that he put on it. And it was the Whitaker family. I'm just going on based on memory now, right? Yeah, it says inbred family, the Whitakers. It was posted about a week ago. Now, he had written a book about this family, and they are in West Virginia, in a city called Odd, West Virginia. I kid you not. And so I watched this and I became just fascinated because I remember, growing up in Kentucky, I grew up and people used to try to make fun of it. It was funny when there's somebody, this is the early years of the internet, and somebody was in Cincinnati and there was this girl and she was trying to troll. This was when trolling was still very new. And she was trying to troll and talk about, she's like, where are you from? And I said, Kentucky. And she was trying to make fun of it. And I'm like, girl, you do know that Cincinnati and Kentucky's the same thing. Like, I mean, there's Northern Kentucky and then there's Cincinnati. Your whole airport is in Kentucky. A lot of people travel back and forth. It's the same thing. Now, and some people may get offended by that, but there's nothing wrong with being from Kentucky. And a lot of people have this connotation that if you're from Kentucky or from something like that, that you are like, that everyone is kind of like the Whitakers, right? And I explained to them there's a big difference between Eastern Kentucky and Western Kentucky. And I'm not trying to be offensive, but there's a difference. And Western Kentucky is very much kind of like a lot of Midwestern cities. Eastern Kentucky and West Virginia and places like that is a little bit different. It's more coal country, right? And so this documentary talks about a family that is supposedly inbred, and I believe that they are because most of them have some sort of mental and physical disability. Not saying that mental and physical disabilities alone are due to being inbred, but it's safe to say that these individuals do. One of the individuals can only talk by barking or making a barking sound. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's sad, to be honest with you. But there was an article that Noelle just read because we were watching a few different things. I showed her this morning, And there was a column written where someone said, is the soft white underbelly taking advantage of these individuals and being exploitative, exploiting these individuals? And I'm like, every time you turn around, people always feel like someone's being exploited. And many times that could be the case. I'm not going to deny that. I think there are a lot of people on YouTube who even do that. I mean, they exploit their kids, they exploit everything. But I don't see this as being the case. And here's the reason why I don't see it as being the case. This person does this kind of like in an interview documentary style. Like he finds these different individuals and he does an interview on them. Some of them are people from Skid Row in Los Angeles. Some of them are pastors. Some of them are people who are homeless. Some of them have issues with substance abuse, right? Some of them are runaways. This one here he did about the Whitakers is kind of a one-off because it was not necessarily right there in Los Angeles, but most of the stuff takes place in Los Angeles. He did an interview with a KKK member, which that interview, the KKK member was just confusing. I mean, talking about double talk, and he would say love is love, but then he didn't agree with mixing. He said it's just yeah, and a lot of people in the comment section was confused with this guy. And I know that you guys are probably saying, what am I talking about? You have to pretty much go to the channel. And I don't promote channels much, but this guy doesn't need my help. He's got well over 1 million subscribers anyway. And he has been posting stuff like crazy. I mean, just launching videos constantly that gets a lot of views. But like a lot of the comments said, I was binge watching. Like the stories of some of these individuals, I was just literally watching because they're talking about their life. And the reason why I don't think that it's an exploitive thing is because this is the part of society that people try to cover up. The mob boss type thing, people, they're fascinated with mob bosses, but they don't see that that's a problem, but they have a problem with gang members, which are also on here, which basically are the same thing, right? But this is the part of society that people try to cover up. You see, you don't hear about the Whitakers, even though if you go back in a little bit ago, a large part of the country was very similar to the Whitakers. Not saying that, people were inbred, but the poverty that you see, that was a large part of the country, right? So if you go back a little bit, way before I was around, that's kind of how a lot of America was. And so now people try to hide and cover that, and these people are forgotten, to be honest with you. The people in Appalachia and places like that are forgotten. Nobody pays attention. No one talks about it. No one discusses what's going on there, and just the poverty. There's a lot of people that don't have running water, electric, etc. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about in towns where people have had coal mining jobs and those jobs left. I'm talking about places where people just have nothing. There's no jobs, no nothing. And so this individual, this video about the Whitakers has almost 5 million views. It was put up a week ago. And I think that this type of stuff is needed because we're under this delusion, I think, in this country that these type of people don't exist, or that poverty only affects certain people, right? That the blemish is not on some, but it's on some other people. What he does kind of highlights that people are people, regardless of what you look like, regardless of where you come from. Everybody has issues. Everybody does. And there's no one racial group that is immune from it. He just provides the facts. Even though people should know that, he provides the facts. But he also brings to the point of showing people's story, getting their point of view. Now, you may argue that is a bit aggressive. I agree, especially with the Whitakers walking right into their house, all that type of stuff. And sure, they agreed to it, but you may disagree with him being a bit aggressive, or maybe the questions people may not like, or what have you. But to be honest with you, the unheard are given a chance to be heard. And he does, some of these, he goes back 2, 3, 4 times to do follow-ups on people. And so you get to kind of know what's going on in their life. Even now, he's doing interviews with people during this whole shutdown thing, right? Now, some of these people, their stories may not be exactly true. A lot of these people have a lot of issues, and some of them are going to, not tell you the truth. But I think the main thing I'm taking away from it is the fact that there are people out there that need a lot of help. One of the big things that people are talking about in terms of it here in Seattle, especially in other places, and people get so confused on, and it really isn't that complicated, is that a lot of times law enforcement is involved with people like these individuals here who have mental health issues, substance abuse issues, what have you. And sometimes they're brought in, law enforcement's brought in to handle individuals who that's not the resource that's needed. Sometimes there are social workers that are better equipped to handle it, because a lot of these individuals, this one girl just broke down and cried. Just by talking, by him asking questions, she was just crying. And so some of these individuals are already on medication. They're maybe not taking it. There's a whole backstory to a lot of this. And so to me, this right here highlights why, in many cases, when individuals like this and others, that sometimes you don't necessarily need law enforcement. They're not equipped to handle individuals similar to this. It'd be different if someone's, committing a crime versus someone that, is screaming to the top of their head and, they're not listening to anybody. You have to bring in someone who's skilled and trained for that. Law enforcement is not designed for that. No matter how you feel about whatever, it's just the facts. They're not. And so this whole channel has really caught my attention. So do I think it's exploitive? No. I think that it's actually giving a voice to people who are otherwise ignored. A lot of people who are homeless, people just walk past, don't say anything, don't look at them, and avoid them. And people have the wrong impression of folks. He goes through and talks to adult film folks, even. The people that he interviews are the people that folks typically have a negative view on, or that society kind of ignores. And so, no, and to top it off, all of these individuals are typically paid. He pays them. So they're getting money. And if you think about it, sometimes that makes a big difference in individuals' lives. Some of these people just need a little bit of money to get back home, right? Some of them are stuck. And especially on the West Coast, we have a lot of transient people that come here from all over and thinking they're going to make it big, or they think that this is the place to be to get a job, and they can't get a job, but they can't get back home because they don't have the money to do it. So sometimes when you have an individual like this, it's great because maybe it just takes that for that person to be like, hey, there are people that do care about me. This one girl said, no one cares about me anyway. And a lot of the people in the comment section were saying that we do care. And so he later told the girl what a lot of the folks are saying, and she was happy about that. She realized, oh, I do have people that actually do care. So it's things like that, I think, that go a long way. That, to me, this is what social media is about, in my opinion, is being able to reach people and have a discussion, just like on our Discord. On our Discord, we have discussions about various different things. Now, it's not as deep as this a lot of times, but we have discussions about a lot of different things. And to me, that's what social media is about. It's not about trolling, because I think that's stupid. It's not about having a discussion of who's right, who's wrong, and what political leanings that you are, or what races people think is better than the other, and all that other nonsense. It's about helping one another and learning about one another. And so to me, this is more about learning about people and their circumstances. I don't see this being an exploit, to be honest with you. I do think there are other things out there that definitely do. I don't see this as that. I think that people use that terminology for a lot of things just because they're not comfortable with it. You know, if again, people are more comfortable turning their backs on individuals like this and ignoring them versus anything else. This guy, on the other hand, not only pays them, but sometimes there's donations that people send in directly for a particular individual. You know, the one guy who was, I forget his name, but he basically uh, had violence done to him while he was waiting on the bus. And so someone, and I'm not going to describe it because YouTube is going to demonetize it, but his name is Jerry. And so people felt, and he has the best attitude given the circumstances. He has the best attitude. He talks with a smile and everything. And he's really a miracle. I mean, facts. He's a miracle. And so he's really, really thankful, and he's very religious. And people sent so much money in that they paid for this guy's rent for a long time, for over a year. Because he's basically homeless, and he's out there trying to get money. So folks were like, and he's easy for people to take advantage of. You know what I mean? So yeah, to me, I don't see much of a problem with the guy. Do I think some of his questions are a little bit out of place or not appropriate? Sure. But I think that he's doing the job that a lot of people are too scared to do. And so for that, I definitely don't have a problem with. But anyhow, that's pretty much it. Wanted to kind of talk about this this channel that I'm really all about right now. I'm going to be looking at a lot of other stuff too. Noelle brought in some breakfast, so it smells amazing. I've been hungry. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, join our Discord. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.